Hello, this is Arvin from Carlist.my, and in today's topic, who makes your car? I mean, you might be driving a Mazda, but did you know Mazda is owned by two trustee banks in Japan? Mega trustee banks. And if you had a Perodol, did you know that 38% or roughly around there is actually owned by UMW, who also markets and sells Toyotas? So, who actually makes your car or owns the company that makes your car? More of that. So to start this off, we'll keep it simple. Basically, car companies, of course, there are ones that were more successful, and then there are ones that are less successful. Now, in the earliest forms of this, we saw it in the American motor industry, whereby big companies like GM and Ford would acquire companies that are smaller or not doing financially so well, or maybe they were good at one point, they have a good market, and then they suddenly fall into ruin because they came out with a few models that were not successful, or the market moves away from them. So typically the conglomerates, or as we the capitalism of the automotive market is typically cars that are mass selling brands who make a lot more money than niche selling brands or sports car brands and things like that, and then they go and acquire these small brands. Now, when a company acquires a smaller brand or even a bigger brand, it doesn't matter, they first acquire the technology, they acquire the rights to make cars with that particular brand, and also they inherit the market and the kind of people that buy those cars. So right now they don't have to build their brand to go against another brand, which is going to be a long, elongated and very expensive affair. Why not just buy the brand and make the cars and then sell them and then make more money? Now, I have to highlight, this is not exclusive to just car makers. Venture capitalism is everywhere. You have bigger companies buying out smaller companies, or they might have been competitors, both, just about as big, but then suddenly one falls down, or they are doing financially badly, and then you buy your competition. The biggest forms of this are actually in the tech industry, where you see companies like Google buying over YouTube, and you have Facebook buying over WhatsApp. So the car makers they might have been the earliest guys who did it, but this is not limited to just car makers. This is all over capitalism at large. For instance, General Motors, now they're one of the oldest car companies in the world, and they, although they had their own brand, the General Motors Corporation, GMC, and produce cars under the GMC brand, they also own Chevrolet, they own Buick, they own Cadillac. So to prove my point, GMC might not have been able to access the market of Cadillac. Cadillac, as we all know, was a premium brand. It was the Rolls-Royce of America. So why make GMC a premium brand when you can just buy the premium brand and then start selling cars, right? So that's just to prove my point. Now, we're going to start this off with the simplest of current automotive groups, and again, a mainstay of all our discussions is BMW. So when we look at BMW Group, it's actually made up of a few smaller brands, of course BMWs as such, and then we get Mini, which BMW Group acquired in 1996, and then we have Rolls-Royce, which is, as we know, the most premium, the most exclusive, the most shop car out there. And trust me, if you've never sat in a Rolls-Royce, you have to do it. It is out of this world. And they have their BMW Motorrad, which is in charge of designing, developing, selling their high performance bikes and stuff. So BMW, be it a small entity in the whole thing, and they only have actually 4 main brands, they are actually huge in the sense if you take into instance BMW, which sells 2.3 million cars, or rather across the group when they sold 2.3 million cars in 2020. So yeah, of course, a big majority of that will be BMWs. Your 3 Series, 5 Series, X5, X1, whatever, and then you've got the Minis, which is one of the up-and-coming, most premium, most fastest-growing brands or premium brands in the market, which, as we know, have the Mini Cooper, the Mini Countryman, and the Mini 3-door, 5-door. Sometimes it gets a bit confusing with Minis. But yeah, amazing cars, drive amazingly. Then you get Rolls-Royce. And did you know, by the skin of their teeth, BMW acquired Rolls-Royce, because the leading bidder for Rolls-Royce when they were up for sale, and before that it had it was a sort of a national owned brand and with some private entities owning it, and Volkswagen actually offered a better price, and they got, if I'm not mistaken, they got the grille design, they got the mascot, the spirit of ecstasy, but they didn't get the RR logo, which is what you typically see on a Rolls-Royce car. And BMW were already in bid with the original owners of Rolls-Royce because they were supplying engines, and they said, hey, that's our best offer, but you can't, technically we're the only ones who can put the RR brand on our cars if we ever build a Rolls-Royce. And because of that, Volkswagen thought, like, hey dude, we can't build Rolls-Royce and not put RR on the car. So it was like beli nasi lemak tak ada sambal, and then this side was like ada sambal tak ada kacang, So in the end, Volkswagen, having the better offer and actually having more might than BMW, actually had to relinquish their offer and let BMW have it. As we know, in the years since BMW has acquired Rolls-Royce, 1998, they have come up with some truly amazing models. The Phantom, the Ghost, the Wraith, the Dawn, and they are all amazing cars. Don't forget the Cullinan, which is their first SUV, which is going to probably turn things around for Rolls-Royce, from a company that was a very niche, very premium, only aristocratic customers and stuff like that. Now they are on stronger footing than ever under the leadership of BMW Group. Now from BMW, we move on to their competitors. At least in the case of Rolls-Royce, it was Volkswagen. Now, with regard to Rolls-Royce, you know why Volkswagen kind of backed away? Because they got Bentley. And at the time, Rolls-Royce was making Rolls-Royce cars and Bentley cars. They were quite similar if you look back at the older Flying Spurs and Mulsannes and all that. And they had certain similarities between the two cars. Now, the reason why Volkswagen bought it was because they got a Bentley and Bentley was selling better. So they were like, hey, okay, we'll settle for Rolls-Royce, but we want Bentley. Now, that was one of their earlier acquisitions, or rather only in the late 90s. But it must be said, Volkswagen was the company that proved conglomerates or automotive groups actually worked. Because if you yes, the positives are when you buy a company, you get their tech, you get their rights, you get their cars, you get their market. We know all that. But on the downside, you inherit debt, you inherit a system that might not work. You inherit the administrative issues. You inherit the management issues. So in a lot of cases, it's about a bigger company buying a smaller company and then making it profitable again. Because if not, then what's the use? So it has to be said that Volkswagen was the modern company that proved, becoming a group and sharing your best attributes and moving it across the group and using the tech across the board as a means to reduce costs, create more models, create more products that would then sell. It was Volkswagen that made it happen. I'm going to go through this very quickly. These are the list of brands that Volkswagen owns. Volkswagen, as we know, Audi, one of its earliest acquisitions, Fiat, Skoda, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, Porsche, as of more recently, because Porsche had a sort of a different, how it was acquired was different because it had different owners. Volkswagen commercial vehicles, Scania, the truck manufacturer, MAN or MAN, who also manufactures trucks. And on bikes, they own Ducati. So if you ride a Ducati bike, hey, you're owned by Volkswagen. If you have a Bugatti, the most high performance, the most exclusive sports car, one of the most exclusive sports car brands in the brand, you're owned by little old Volkswagen. And it's because of their industrial might, but also because of their ingenuity and their ability to turn a company around is why they are so successful now. And if you think of companies like Fiat and Skoda, which were all entry-level companies, which were like, ugh, when they picked it up, they are actually really, really good companies making really, really good cars now. From Volkswagen Group, we move on to a new up-and-comer, one that is gaining popularity every day, and not to mention getting bigger by the day and stronger by the day. Geely, 20, 30 years ago, built fridges. Today, they are one of the biggest automotive groups in the world. Now, one of the earliest acquisitions was Volvo 10 years ago, and they brought them off from Ford. And literally, Volvo was always a company that was known for quality, for safety, but possibly didn't have the resources that they needed under its previous owners, Ford. Now, of course, Ford was around, kept them alive, and they could still build cars under the brand. But in the time that Geely has bought over them, they've been like, you do you, man. We love you for what you do. You just go out there and you build the cars that you want. And because of that, we got the XC90, the S90, the XC60, the S60. I mean, who doesn't love these cars? They're amazing. Now, of course, Geely has their amazing cars under their own brand. They've got a ton of models, which of course we don't get here. We do get them in the form of Proton models. So what they've done for Proton is, in the short time that they've been around, for roughly about 5 years, we've got the X70, we've got the X50. They've improved models that were there, but they've give them new tech. They've injected new technology into it, like the Persona, the Iris, and Proton's flying right now, and we have to thank Geely for that. And out of the same deal, they picked up Lotus. Now, Lotus, watch for them. They are a company that is going to rise from the ashes with the models like the Amira and the Avija or the Avia, depending how you want to call it. They built an entirely new sporty brand around Polestar, which was literally a racing outfit that was closely linked to Volvo. Now it's a brand by itself, like AMG and BMW M. And then we look further, we got Lynk & Co, and we have companies like the London Black Cab. So it's rising out of nowhere, and we got it handed to Geely. It's been about good governance, it's been about good strategy, it's been about wanting to build great cars, because they were never a state-funded or state-backed company. A lot of the big Chinese companies are actually state-backed, so they always have the government there to sort of support them. Geely never did it like this. They have been a private company or a private entity from the start. So kudos to Geely. They're really one of the biggest guys, and with newer sort of projects running with Daimler Group, with the smart range of cars, smart being the smart car, and yeah, they're huge, and kudos, man. We move on to the newest and one of the largest automotive groups that have come up in recent times. Now, when I mean large, they are large. Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, the total amount of volume that all these brands generate under the Stellantis Group, as we know it now, they are probably the fourth biggest, if I'm not mistaken, the third or fourth biggest automotive group in the world. Now, let me give you a list or a rundown of the companies under Stellantis. Now, if we branch down, Stellantis was actually the merger between the Peugeot PSA Group and the Fiat Chrysler Group. So now, in essence, these were two big companies to start with, and they already had some brands underneath them. So when you merge them together, you now get Alfa Romeo, you get Peugeot, you get Citroën, you get DS cars or DS automobiles. Fiat, a huge company in terms of sales volume in European markets. You get the ultra premium and sporty Maserati. You get Dodge, which we In America, they're huge with trucks and cars and sports cars. You get niche manufacturers like Lancia, and you get companies like Chrysler and Jeep. So we get so many brands now under one umbrella, and they've just started out. It was, if I'm not mistaken, 2019 or somewhere in 2020 where the whole merger was completed, and now you've got some of these, like 10, 11 well-known brands under one roof. Now, when they combine their resources, they combine their technology, they combine their work ethic, and if they can do this properly, you're going to see a lot of these companies, which we love. I mean, who doesn't like Peugeot cars? Who doesn't love Alfa Romeos for their design and their performance and their sound? Who doesn't love Maserati? Sorry, I gotta say that. And Jeep know all about going fast or going over any terrain. So they actually have a lot of resources, a lot of tech, a lot of know-how, which then can be fed amongst themselves and to build better cars at cheaper prices. So everybody wins. Now, of course, the challenge, like I said earlier, was finding a synthesis that works for everybody, and one not getting left out. And a lot of this is down to leadership and having a robust system that allows know-how and tech to move around within your smaller companies or your smaller affiliates and still become profitable because you are functioning as a group. So yeah, there you go. In short, a bunch of automotive families that you may or may not have known was actually making your car. So yeah, there you go. Until next time, take care, stay safe. We'll catch you soon. Bye.